Hello, YouTube. It is I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fan fiction review. Oh, better fix that camera. As always, I'll be leaving a link to the story in the description. Please like, subscribe to the channel, and post a comment in the comment section on your thoughts to the story yourself, or any other future fan fictions you want me to read or review. As always, these stories are my opinion, and my opinion is not representative of everyone in the world. So, this is going to be the last Smash Brothers fan fiction for a while. At least I'm hoping for. And I thought I'd leave it on a review. So the story I'm going to be reviewing is Trick or Treat. It's by Connor the Spelling Pro. And it's a sci-fi friendship fan fiction with only 2 reviews. I thought I'd help it out a little bit. So, what's the plot about? I actually really like the plot. I like the main core of the idea. So the plot is basically Samus and everyone is in this skyscraper, which is admittedly new. Usually when it comes to Smashers, it takes place in a mansion in the middle of a gigantic meadow. And basically she meets up with a bunch of other, with Rosalina and then a bunch of other, and then Ness shows up and announces Halloween, where you can, get candy and eat and have fun and party. And not Zelda. Samus is actually conflicted over the simple fact that she doesn't know where, how does she identify in terms of her culture, because she wants to honor her culture. She wants to honor the fact that her colony of K2L, the Chozo. And, she's trying to find out what do I do in this situation. So it's basically a story about wanting to find your inner self, finding your own culture, your identity. How are you gonna, in this situation, how would you identify, in essence, it's a story about finding who you are. And I really like these kind of stories. I really love these kind of stories. And I think the author actually did a very good job of implementing the ideas into the story. The first chapter sets up everything nice and tight, with Rosalina and Samus sitting at the table, and then they're joined by Zelda and Princess Peach, and then Ness makes the announcement, and then they show Lucas kind of sad and everything over the same things that Samus is thinking about. Not the same things, the same ideas, but they're going about it in a different way. And so Samus God dang it. Samus goes to each other character, Rosalina, Peach, Zelda, and Lucas, in that order, to find out what should she wear for Halloween. How is she able to solve this problem? And I really like this idea. It's simple. It's a simple idea that is done, that is executed very well. I mean, it's one of those ideas that you can't really go wrong with having a good down-to-earth story, and the author actually does it really well. Characters. I like Samus' character. This whole conflicted soldier is like, who do I belong to? I mean, I want to honor the fact that I came from Earth, but I also want to honor K2L, despite the fact I don't remember anything about him. And I also want to honor my Chozo ancestry. And she's done as a likable, believable protagonist. And we warm up to her, saying what makes her happy. How does she go about wanting to be happy, and how she develops as the character throughout all her conversations. Having each character represent something of a different ideal. Like we have Rosalina, who's basically this immortal who kind of doesn't understand the concept of living in the now, and honestly understanding that culture of that she might forget her old memories, but she would always constantly make new memories. And then Peach, I'll get to her in a minute. Zelda representing logic and the whole, what makes you happy. And then Lucas kind of representing this kind of pessimistic outview on life of the fact that, he's lonely, he's sad, and he really doesn't like, and, people don't like the fact that, he's an outcast. He's the outcast looking in, and he registers with Samus to the point she helps him, he helps her. The one problem I had with the story was Peach. Just literally her. Just that one problem. I like her character. She's the vain, like out there character who doesn't give two shits, who's helping superficially. But the problem I had with her was oh my god, why did the author decide to make all these fourth wall breaks, all this meta commentary? This story does not need it. It didn't need it at all. And while I like her characters, how the author implemented her in the sense of the story is incredibly off. I mean, excuse me. Sorry about that. Sure, I can get where the character is coming from. She just been, when Samus goes to her, she's like, "Hey, you have a costume for me?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." She drops a Ridley mask to her and said, "You can wear that." Yay. And she doesn't give zero fucks about her fans. But it's like, why do we need her constantly referencing, like, other games, other fan theories, MatPat, her constantly breaking the fourth wall? This story, she did not need to break. There's no need for a story like this to break the fourth wall, because, Earthbound takes place on normal Earth, so it makes sense in a weird sort of way. But there doesn't need to be all of this fourth wall breaking, and I don't like that. And all of it actually is connected to her, but it's like, on one hand, I like the character itself, the idea behind the character, but I don't like the implementation of it. Grammar's fine. I saw one grammar error on chapter 4 where the author accidentally put bit instead of but that's pretty much the only grammar error I saw. That's one grammar error. It's a fan fiction, dude. Like one grammar error is nothing. It's not. Pacing, the pacing is what makes the story. The pacing is immaculate. It gives us each chapter is lengthened to the point where they have this realistic conversation, and they teach Samus about different parts of identity and how she learns to accept what she needs to do. Like Rosalina. This chapter starts with, Samus is on top of the skyscraper. She jumps from one skyscraper to another, and then, Rosalina's there already, and then they talk. And then, Rosalina has she has no like Rosalina, her character she has no idea of, how the human factor, because she's an immortal. She lives with all these Lumas who technically don't really age. So she has no concept of mortality, and, she wants to learn what mortality is. And Samus is there to, discuss immortality versus mortality. I actually really loved Rosalina's take on immortality. She doesn't want, she's sad that, they die, but there's always new memories that she has. Usually when someone takes on a immortal character, they make her some kind of tragic character of, they're always forgetting, and, they'll eventually forget. But what Rosalina does is, she lives with immortal characters. She just doesn't understand the concept of mortality itself, which I think is a nice departure from the immortality character tropes. And each conversation lasts long enough in their respective how they're going to do it to continue Samus's development over the course of the story. And it ends up with a happy story with Samus, wearing the fusion suit, saying that, I can't, as much as I want to, it's like, I can't remember anything about K2L, so how can I honor them if I don't know anything about it? And she learns to have to let go of that part, and, wear the fusion suit from Metro Fusion that honors, that celebrates the fact that she's in a costume, it celebrates the Chozo, it celebrates who she is as a whole. And then we get that very good sequel hook with Rosalina showing up with a gas mask from K2L, saying, she's gonna be gone, and, there's you can jump off of that point, and I like, I really loved the ideas. I loved everything about the story except for Pete, except how the author did Peach. So would I recommend this? Favorite part and final thoughts. Would I recommend this? This is actually one of those stories that is really hard to recommend because while the ideas are there, it's just it's just a fictional story about philosophy and identity. It's really not gonna bite with a lot of people, mainly because they don't want to see they don't want to really see like idealistic types of stories. They rather just see, get on with it, and this type of story appeals to a more niche market, but what it fills in that niche is exactly what it needs to fulfill. So I'm going to give it a recommendation. Sure, it's not that long. So the story is not that long. It's only about 20,000 words, but for what it needs to accomplish, it does relatively well. Favorite part, I would actually have to put Rosalina and Samus's pretty much the entirety of chapter 2, because sure, it's probably the best chapter. And it's done probably the best out of all her conversations. Lucas would probably be a close second. But I actually really liked Rosalina's part. I think she was probably the best character outside of Samus. Samus has done really well. And I really, really liked just the entirety of chapter 2. Final thoughts. Basically, this is a really niche story, and again, just because it's niche doesn't make it bad. It's just, when it comes to more common novels and fan fictions, they usually like to see adventure or mystery or romance. So just having a simple story about one wanting to find out who they are and what and a simple thought process, a simple plot of what am I, what culture do I identify as. And it succeeds on that front. If I had to change anything, if I was the author and I had to change anything, get rid of all the fourth wall breaks. I mean, those are distracting, those are annoying, those detract from the whole concept of the story, and overall, I just don't like it. But that's just me. I mean, some people might like it, some people won't. I think the Peach, not giving a fuck of what her fans think because, behind closed doors, I think that would work for a story, just not this story. I think she needed to have that general overall character that the author was going for, with the vein, that superficial, I don't really give a fuck idea, because of course you have to have at least one of her friends who's going to help her the least, to segue into Zelda and then into Lucas. That's fine. Just get rid of the fourth wall breaks. I just don't like them. They just do not fit the overall tone of what the author is trying to do. So that has been my review of Trick or Treat. This has been Dark. This has been Dark Symphony